Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me for this week's Weekly Wisdom. Y'all, we've talked about this topic a couple of times, and I thought that we were done with the topic. But once you have experienced imposter syndrome, it tends to stick around. So I was doing a session this morning, and I was surrounded by PhDs and just brilliant people. And I'm trying to read the slide while a senior facilitator is doing their thing, and I'm looking at the slide and I realized that I knew every seventh or eighth word, and those words were and, the, of, is. Everything else was in industry jargon, but I had no idea what it meant. And all of the self-confidence and all of the beliefs I have and all of the I have earned my way into this room went out the door. And I found myself struggling to slow down my mind. He was like, you don't belong here. You're not as smart as these people. You need to get out of here before they figure it out. Considering myself, no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to understand their industry. I'm supposed to understand the topic, which is storytelling. And I understand storytelling down in my bones. I'm not trying to teach them on their expertise. I'm trying to teach them on my expertise. But it was like a dog chasing its tail in my brain, just around and around and around and around. And there was so much mental energy that went in to just trying to stay and do a decent job. So, felt fitting that today we were going to talk about imposter syndrome. Decided to do a little bit more research, find out what the deal is with it. And imposter syndrome was discovered in the 70s. And we used to think that it was highly prominent to women, but now we know it affects genders across the board. One of the only clues to who may possibly have imposter syndrome is that they have a high need for success and a fear of failure. And you combine these two, and that's where imposter syndrome comes. And so people with imposter syndrome want to be successful. They need to be successful, but then they do self-sabotaging behaviors. Because if we're actually successful, then we wouldn't have earned it, right? And that was what I was trying to overcome in the class that I was having this morning, was the self-sabotage, because I just wanted to say, you know what, guys, I don't feel good, and head out. And so if you battle with that little voice in the back of your head that says you're not blank enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not whatever, it's imposter syndrome. Another statistic that I read a long time ago that has always stuck with me is that you have to be at a certain level of expertise to even realize how much you don't know, right? If you think about some of the most arrogant people that you know, chances are they don't know a whole lot. But it's that ignorance is bliss type thing. So imposter syndrome comes when you've reached a certain level of expertise. So just by the fact that you have imposter syndrome in an area means you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And imposter syndrome is extraordinarily, I'm not going to say easy because that's not the right word, but with the right thought process and shift, it can be overcome more easily than other challenges. All right, I'm going to stop rambling about imposter syndrome, but know that if you experience it, you're not alone. Even at one of the highest points of my professional life, it still knocked me to my knees this morning. But it's okay, because it's what happens next. When we get up, we tell ourselves that we do belong, and we keep moving forward. So thank you for joining me for this week's Weekly Wisdom. I am off to Waco, Texas to have an amazing couple of days with some phenomenal leaders. I hope you have an amazing week as well. And don't forget, as always, you got this. I'll see you next week.